Joining us now in studio live in Locust Grove is State Senator from this area, Republican Burt Jones. And he was instrumental in putting this hearing on and getting Mayor Giuliani here, head of the Trump legal team, who's also the first elected official in Georgia to support Donald Trump's campaign for president in 2015. In fact, at that time, both he and I were two of the earliest people to do that in the country. So it's good to be here and good to have him with us. Senator, welcome.
Hey, thanks, John. Good to be here.
I thought you did a great job yesterday. You were the guy that really got Giuliani here. Can you walk us through what happened?
Well, yeah, I mean, as you said earlier in the opening, I got on with the Trump team early, back in 2015, and they were always have been good to me because of that. The president, the administration appointed me to some advisory committees, the U.S. North American trade trade deal, the affiliates, as far as the advisory committee with that concern. So I've made a lot of trips back and forth to D.C. since in the last 4 years, and was the co-chair of his reelection campaign here in Georgia. And so when the election didn't go our way, number one, it didn't feel right because he had all the momentum. Anytime you see anytime you see somebody in any political arena, doesn't matter if it's local, state, or national, when they have the ground game and the energy is with the campaign, that usually resonates at the ballot boxes. And so when it didn't happen on November 3rd, and then questions started to arise about the voter integrity of the state and things of that nature. I told a lot of my colleagues, I was like, we got to do something. We just can't sit here and not take action, because as you well know, the constituent base out here was angry.
They still
upset, and yeah, they are. I mean, I still talk to literally tens, if not hundreds, of constituents every day. Hadn't been able to call all of them back. To be honest with you, every time I'll call 20, another 20 hit up on the voicemail. But I'd been talking to Mayor Giuliani for the last 3 weeks, and I knew he was going around and to different states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada. And they had their legal teams in each one of those states, and he was going around and trying to make the case with the state legislatures of those respective states. And I knew he wanted to come to Georgia, and I wanted to get him I wanted to do more than what Pennsylvania did. Pennsylvania didn't have a committee hearing. They just had a group of senators, I think, got together and had him up there, and they might have done the same thing in Michigan. I was like, I want this on the record. I wanted it in a committee hearing. I want it, to be able to be live streamed, and us to be able to have to fill a report out on it and through a committee hearing process. So, anyways, it's taken a while, but yesterday we were able to secure a judiciary committee hearing yesterday, and wow, what good fortune we had, because the night before we were having our committee hearing, all of a sudden this State Farm arena tape breaks, the video that shows all the in Fulton County.
Well, that video, Senator, was clear as a bell. Facebook has put a disclaimer out today. Anybody that shares it, there's a disclaimer that says it's a fake video. Was that video fake?
Didn't look fake to me. No,
that came from the Hawks organization, right? That came from that. It
looked like security cameers.
It was a security camera.
Yeah.
How did they get those?
I'm not sure how the Trump, the legal team there here in the state got a hold of those. I know they had been talking about it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm quite certain they had a person on the inside that tipped them off to it, and then finally they were able to secure it. I think I think they had to get an affidavit to try to do it, but I'm not certain on that, so don't quote me on that. But at any rate, they were able to obtain it, and it was a bombshell. It was a bombshell, and I know after we had our hearing yesterday, a lot of senators who had wanted to, a lot of my colleagues who had been wanting to try to put the election behind us, the November 3rd election behind us, and focus on the January 5th. They had an awakening yesterday, and so I think they have a little different attitude about how deep we do need to dive into all of the allegations and all.
Well, you
of the
have to.
things.
I mean, you got a video showing ballots being scanned in the middle of the night after they throw everybody home that comes out of boxes. Mm-hmm. Facebook, I'm just dumbfounded. They put out a disclaimer saying the video it would be one thing to say it's not verified. They said it's already, analysts have already said it's fake. It came from the security cameras. All right, I'm gonna open the phone lines up for Senator Burt Jones with us from the
Jackson, Georgia.
From Jackson, Georgia, representing this area. I'm live in Locust Grove, and great little town, by the way, here. Not really little, but it's a great town. Let's get to Tracy in Alabama, line 1. Tracy, you're live. Go ahead.
Okay. First, I would just like to say thank you so much for being a voice. I've never called into a radio show before, but I am so angry. I want to cry. I work at Auburn University, and one thing I'd like to do is just give some people hope and say that there are a younger generation, I think we saw it yesterday, that actually care, that know what's going on. I teach 230 kids, and when Biden was, pushing for this waiver on tuition, I asked my kids, who's in favor of this? And I have to be very careful about what I say. And, most of the kids were not happy with it. Of course, these are business majors. Mm-hmm. But there are young people out there that understand what's going on. I think the biggest problem is just information. Mm-hmm. There's intelligent people out there, and my husband's one of them. He's incredibly bright, and he doesn't, if you don't go to John Fredericks Radio or listen to these hearings, you think that everything's a lie, just like the Facebook suppression. He thinks I'm, I've got 3 degrees, and he looks at me like I'm crazy. And if you try to say that the Department of Justice isn't doing anything, everyone thinks you've gone off the deep end, and it's incredibly frustrating. So I thank you, John, for all you're doing, and I ask that your listeners, get on Twitter and let everyone know about this machine that the Secretary of State is not, he's refusing to impound it. He's putting up, a fight to keep it. Why? But the big problem is most people have no idea. Not most, but half. They aren't listening to these hearings. They are not looking anywhere outside of the mainstream media. And, my husband will say, well, my God, if it's not on Fox, how all of a sudden are you against Fox is what he'll say to me. And I think a lot of America is saying that. It's just so hard and frustrating to get the word out. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and I hope. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just hope and pray that we can get one of these machines. I think if we can get one of these machines,
we're going to ask the senator about this machine. We just had Beach on saying he was going to look into it, but Garland Favorite is right. He didn't get a chance to testify today. You impound this one machine, you finally change the algorithm. It's over. The fake news can't keep hiding this. Tracy, do me a favor. I want to get your number, your cell number, and your email. Just stay on the line. Kara's going to get that, if you would, Tracy. So thank you, but stay on the line so Kara can get that for us, so we can stay in touch. Let's go to Senator, and hang in there a minute, Greg. Let's go to Senator Jones again. So we had Beach on earlier, Senator Beach. Mm-hmm. Garland Favorita, who didn't get a chance to testify yesterday, although he was number 7, was upset because he had a lot to say. But he's got a machine in Ware County, these Dominion machines, that they did a hand count. They saved the ballots. And when they fed him in a machine again, there were 37. Biden got 37 more votes than Trump got, although when you hand counted him, they fed him in 2 times, they got the same result. So Favorita is convinced that the software algorithm is manipulated in such a way to change the outcome in the machines, and he's asked for those machines in Ware County to be impounded before Raffensperger figures out how to wipe them clean. Can you do that, Senator?
No, I mean, we're going to be fighting to not allow that to happen. I've heard a lot of talk about the different machines out there, and obviously Dominion's been the subject of our conversation, because that is the equipment that the state Secretary of State's office ended up purchasing and authorized to move forward on. So it's software. I mean, and I'm not a technical guy by any means, but I know software. You can program software to do one thing, and you can program software to do another thing. So the possibility is not a far out idea, as some people might say. But I'll be fair with you. What I think, what we witnessed yesterday, and I think what we're going to find, as far as if we're going to find the smoking gun, so to speak, it looks like it's a good old fashioned stuffing of the ballots.
The software is one thing, right? I mean, we're going to have to pound that machine and see that. Right. But the video, you got 4 boxes come out at midnight after they send everybody home, and they're feeding them in, and no one can explain where those ballots came from.
Right, exactly. And you see that all over the country. I mean, literally,
it's all over the country.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, they've got however many hundreds of thousands of ballots, and so it's really, I think our focus ought to be more in the validation of the absentee ballots, because I think that, and I don't agree with what the Secretary of State did as far as with the consent order that he signed in March, and I would like to see us go back and change that
in a special session.
Yes, I would.
All right, we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's get to the phone lines, and then we'll get to the special session and what you're going to do there and how you get one. Let's go to line 1. Greg in Georgia. Greg, you're live.
Hey, good morning, John. How are you, sir?
Never better. Hey, you're in Georgia, Greg. What city?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what city are you? McDonough. Oh, McDonough. Okay,
I'm
great.
right up the road from Locust Grove in McDonough, Georgia.
All right, good deal.
Can you hear me, John?
Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
Hello, John.
Go ahead, Greg. We hear you loud and clear. Go ahead. Greg?
We've been working on broadband until this election stuff came up. You know, as far as getting more broadband.
I don't know where he is. We hear him, and he heard some of us because he told me he was in McDonough. I don't know, Craig, if you can maybe Carrie can. Is he still there? Okay, he's gone. Let's get to Ned in Glen Allen, Virginia. Ned, you're live.
Hey, John. I watched the hearings yesterday and have a question for the senator.
Yes.
The most important comment that I heard was the young lady who said when she went to vote that someone had already requested her absentee ballot and ultimately voted for her. I was a poll watcher in Virginia. I heard that all morning long. They were given provisional ballots, which to me became a double vote. Okay, we've heard that comment all around the country. I went ahead and reviewed the Georgia absentee ballot file. I found all the people that registered under the UPS store box number, and I'm sure there's dead people in there. How do you audit the absentee ballot applications? Not this list that we get, but the actual paper, because I think that's where the answers are. You're going to see who signed it. You're going to see the phony addresses. You're going to see the ones that were sent in on behalf of dead people. But that's where all the information still sits. It's on the application itself, that physical piece of paper that was sent in.
Yeah, and
So-
that's why we're asking for a signature ID audit as well, and because it's something like they only out of the 1.3 million absentee ballots, about 400,000 had a copy of a photo ID, which is to me unacceptable, so. You have to do a complete hand audit, signature audit of all of those absentee ballots to verify I don't know if you watched.
Well,
the
why don't
hearing
they just do
yesterday.
that? Why doesn't your Secretary of State Raffensperger do it? He doesn't do it, and then your Lieutenant Governor, I call him Cosmo Man with his $5,000 Armani suits. He runs over to CNN and says there's no need, nothing to see here. So, Senator, I mean, what you're saying is fine, but they're not doing it. Why?
Well, that's a good question, and I've been very frustrated with the Secretary of State's response because it seems that they're defending everything that they've done when obviously there's just a small group of us. Brandon Beach is one that you had on earlier. Greg Dolezal out of Forsyth County, and who is one of these IT guys himself by trade. That's what he does for a living, and he's been real instrumental in educating a lot of us on how these algorithms and all that kind of stuff works. But and then William Ligon out of Brunswick, we are wanting to get ourselves into a special session so that we can, number one, change the consent order as far as that and have them just follow state law, how we do how we've always done absentee ballots in the past, and then also have a joint House and Senate oversight committee to look at all these fraudulent claims like what we saw yesterday, and have all these people who have signed affidavits all over the state with claims of going to the polls and either having have a poll person tell them they'd already voted in an absentee or that they weren't on the roll anymore, or whatever it might be, and really let the legislature decide what we ought to do next, which is the appropriate role for the legislature, is the one that handles the votes, and as far as the voter integrity is set up by state legislature, and any change to that is I feel like a violation.
If you go to a special session, can you throw that consent decree out, and can you influence the way ballots are checked for the January 5th runoff?
You could override that consent order, absolutely, because we are the appropriate authority for that.
Right.
So, and then you can't change state law, but you can adjust the procedures in how the absentee ballots are properly validated. Though we can
for
do that
this election coming up.
So
you can make it so that the signatures have, when you submit these, the signatures have to match.
Signatures match, photo IDs, all those type things.
So you can do that prior to the January 5th election.
I'm quite certain we can.
Now, so I know you guys are putting a press release out today demanding a special session. So far, Brian Kemp has said no. Your governor said no, you don't need one. I've said this 100 times, much to my chagrin. My good friend Jan Jones, Speaker Pro Tem of the House, said no, we don't need one here. It's only going to go to a judge anyway. Ralston, your Speaker of the other side of the House, he's not in favor of it. So you got all of leadership saying you don't need one. How do you guys get Brian Kemp to call one? Because you're not going to get 3/5.
No, we don't have 3/5 majority in the House or the Senate. That's correct. So it is up to the governor and to call a special order, but he also gets to set the agenda in a special session as well. So he can.
Of course, he can set the agenda, but then once you guys hit the gavel, it can go anywhere you want.
Well,
right?
Yes and no. He has set the agenda, but it just depends on how broadly the
right.
wording for the agenda is or not. So, but I maintain if we're going to be the ones held responsible for whatever the outcome for November or January are concerned, then I would like for us to have a say in the procedure.
From what you've seen, we got to get top of the hour. Burt Jones with us, state senator Locust Grove area. From what you've seen, are you in favor of the 16 electoral votes now being given to Joe Biden, being given to Trump, or just being given to no one as of today? Now,
well, I've always looked at how you could. Obviously, I'm a Trump guy, and so I've always looked at how we could get a path to seeing that the president would receive the electoral college votes. Up until yesterday, we had not gotten that smoking gun, that you were looking for. And we were getting bits and I mean, there's plenty of allegations and there's plenty of affidavits.
But now you have the gun.
But now you
actually it
have
isn't a gun. It's a bazooka.
Yeah, it looks like it. I hope
All right, we got to go. Top of the hour. We're going to take your calls when we get back. We got another hour. We're going to get Beach involved again. We got another hour with Senator Burt Jones. John Fredericks Radio Network. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for everything that everybody does. We're with Senator Burt Jones, who represents the area Republican. First guy to back one text. This is from Tom in West Coast, Florida. Tom says, I watched the hearing yesterday from a constitutional angle yesterday. The professor schooled the senators and exposed Senator Elena Parent, your colleague, as a hack. All she could say is all this has been debunked. Senator Gooch asked her, well, how can the video be debunked since it's only 10 hours old? She's a lightweight. So that's from Tom in West Florida. Tom, thank you. You don't have to comment on that if you don't.
Well, I mean, it was Senator Gooch's timing was perfect because she was referring to the monitor that the Secretary of State claimed that they had in there, and that's what she kept referring to, and Senator Gooch just simply said, no, I mean, we're talking about a video that is just now being seen by everybody right here. I mean, this is a security camera, so it was one of those gotcha moments there. It seemed like so, but I thought it was a good hearing. I thought it went well. I thought Senator Ligon, the chairman of the committee, ran a really good committee yesterday, and we got a lot of good information. And like I said, I think it made some believers out of some folks who have been straddling the fence, really.
Let's get the phone lines. Let's get to Madonna, Georgia, line 2, where we have Greg from Madonna, Georgia. Greg, you're live. You're live, Greg. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, John. How are you, sir?
Good morning, sir.
Oh, man, I tell you what, it's like 1776 all over again, isn't it, sir?
It's something.
It's something. Yeah, I've been at the state capitol here in Atlanta for the last 3 weeks, screaming, hollering, doing everything that I possibly can to draw attention to what's going on here in Georgia. And it just drives me crazy, John, that I'm out there on the steps of the Capitol fighting for not only this election that we recently have gone through, but, it just blows my mind how you don't see Perdue around, you don't see Loeffler around, while we're expected to go out on January 5th and fight for them. And here we are trying to keep this election that's gotten stolen from us, and we know that. We've seen the evidence now. We've seen, obviously, everything that you've seen. And I just want to make sure they're very clear on the message I'm about to tell you. We don't care about January 5th. What we care about right now is what happened November 3rd. Once we fix this mess here, then we'll focus on January 5th. But no, they got to understand, and I'm talking to Republicans right now, there are a lot of us that are so pissed off, John, that it's not even funny. We feel like the shenanigans have been exposed last night. Tell me, what's the update on what Governor Kemp is going to do? I saw on Laura Ingraham last night that he said that he was going to call for another audit of the vote, for a signature audit.
Great.
Yeah.
Burt?
Yeah, I mean, he called for a signature audit, and he's actually asking. I mean, the Secretary of State is a constitutional officer. You would hope that he would abide to what the governor asks him to do, and I'm sure he will. But he is asking for a signature audit, which is a better way to validate those absentee
signature
ballots.
audit of you can't do. The ballots have been separated from the envelopes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Greg, what the signature audit would do, I mean, the governor needs to come out of hiding and do two things, and maybe tomorrow's a start. He needs to call for a full signature audit of the envelopes. And although you can't match the envelopes back to the ballots because those have already been separated and the chain of custody is gone, if you find out that there's a 10% fraud level, then that means that 80,000 votes are fraudulent. So you can't certify it. I mean, you just got to throw it out. Period. Done.
Right.
And so what are they afraid of? What is Brad Raffensperger afraid of? If it's so clean and everything is good, do the signature audit, right? But he's not yet called for a special session, which is critical because in the special session, what the legislators can do, what the state legislature can do, is throw out that consent decree, right?
That's right,
Senator.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You throw out, you change that for the obviously for the January 5th election. But then if the body feels it's so bad that you need to change it, then it throws the November 3rd validation procedures into question, and then on top of that, if you look at all the allegations and the fraud and everything that we discovered yesterday, then that's where you get to the point in time where the legislative body takes control of its rightful authority, its constitutionally granted authority on determining what they want to do with the electoral college votes. If there's enough evidence there to have the election, have the confidence in the outcome of the election set aside, the legislative body could choose to do that. But you can't do any of it until you're in special session.
Okay, well, Senator Jones, I think it's hard for any Georgian, not to mention Americans, but Georgians alone to unsee the video we saw last night.
I agree.
And
unsee the video. I love that line. You can't unsee the video. Although
you
Facebook says it's a fake. I don't know how it's a fake.
Twitter's doing the same thing, John. Twitter's doing the exact same thing. We already know what we're up against with big tech here. But that aside, the world is watching what's going on in Georgia right now, and these senators' legacies are on the line. The governor's legacy is on the line. And then legacies may not matter out west or up north, and I'm certainly not prejudging those areas. I don't know, but I know how the South is. And legacy is critically important here in the South. And these, especially our Secretary of State, his legacy is destroyed, and I don't know what he'll do to repair it. I don't know if it's repairable at this point in time.
So why are Senator Loeffler and Senator Perdue silent?
I don't know, sir. I was screaming that at the steps yesterday. I mean, I was saying, where's Perdue? Where's Perdue? Where's Loeffler? I had that crowd so fired up on the steps yesterday, John, it wasn't even funny. And had my megaphone out there and was with Ali Alexander from InfoWars, several others that were out there as well, too. And it's shocking to me how these senators, and no disrespect to Senator Jones, who's with you there at all, but it's shocking to me how they expect us to come out in droves and fight for them when they remain silent.
See, they don't. Senator Burt Jones gets it. Beach gets it. Senator Gooch from Dahlonega, after coming on my show for an hour and getting lit up like a pinball machine by his constituents, he's now getting it. Chuck Payne fighting with his constituents for an hour and a half on my show, not getting it. And Newt Gingrich, my guy, my former congressman, love him to death, backed him in 2012. Relic, doesn't get it. Sends an email out last night blasting the voters of Georgia saying they have to vote on January 5th. I'll never forget the caller I had 3 days ago in Dalton. Said, Senator, in all due respect, I don't have to do crap. You don't do anything for me. Why should I do anything? This is what's going on. Hey, Greg, thank you. Let's get to...
I thought Newt Gingrich just came out early and asked that he have a special session called. I thought he had done that. He didn't do that.
No, he came on and asked for a special session, But what he did yesterday is he sent in, one of those email
in a
blasts.
response to the
Sidney Powell and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And look, and so here's my thing. Okay, I love Newt Gingrich, but time is passing by. He's now a relic, out of touch, doesn't know what's going on. Sits in the Vatican with his wife. I'm for that. Have a good time. Burt, I'm telling you, from what I've heard in 3 weeks here, the movement that's going on right now in Georgia and across America is eclipsing the majority of its Republican leaders.
Oh, you don't have to tell me.
I know you know that.
I'm hearing it too. I mean,
I know you know that.
Because my constituents said I've got one of those ruby red districts, and then they're kind of the old line Georgia, Georgia, just good old salt of the earth Georgian, and from Lake Jackson, from Jackson Lake over to Lake Oconee and Lake Sinclair, it's a variety of just good salt of the earth Georgians, and it's so amazing to me. Some of them who aren't that political. I always brag about my district because they're not high maintenance. They're not, when they call you, they want you to call them back. It's real simple. And then when they ask you if you can do something, they either want you to try to help them do it, or if you can't help them, you tell them that, and they're fine with you. They're literally, but after this election, those usually get along, easygoing middle Georgians are fighting mad right now, and they should be.
They're really angry.
You'll like this, John. When I got to the Capitol yesterday, Rudy Giuliani he was actually in Senator Gooch's office, and I got up there, and his office is on the 4th floor. And I walked in the door there, and shook hands, how you doing, and all this other stuff. And I walked him over. I was like, "Come here, Mayor. I want you to come over here to the window here. I want you to look over the skyline." And he looked. He said, "Oh, this is gorgeous. This is such a beautiful city." I was like, "I just wanted you to see this window, because if we don't do something, the citizens of Georgia are gonna come out here and throw us all out this 4th floor window, because." Right. It is you can feel the fever pitch, and it does concern me for the January 5th election, because now I know both senators, Loeffler and Perdue. I know they're working hard, because I know they're traveling all over the state. After I leave here, I'm going to Savannah for a rally with them there with the vice president. And I know they're making all the rounds, but I do know the frustration from the voter out there that they're not talking about this.
They're ignoring it. I mean, they never even commented on this video yesterday. They haven't called for a special session. They haven't called to get rid of the consent decree.
Right.
They haven't called the electors into question. They won't respond to it. And they're listing their nitwit consultants from Washington, D.C. in their bubble, which they pay millions of dollars to, who get to be, they keep making money whether they win or lose. I mean, it's the same story over and over and over again. All right, let's get to line 2. Mickey in McDonough, Georgia. Mickey, you're live.
Hey, John. I just want to say thank you to Senator Beach, Burt Jones, you for helping Georgia out. You are so right. Eric Erickson has sold out to the left. Everybody needs to quit listening to him and just move on. I just want to say 2 things. I want to echo what Greg said. I really believe you need to have Loeffler and Perdue on your show. Ask them point blank, what are you doing to ensure your own election will be different than the November 3rd election? Why is the silence? I'm telling you, I've been saying this for weeks. They have cut some kind of deal. They are not worried about their own election. And I would be like, why? What they need to be worried about is all of us Trump voters not showing up on January 5th. Mm-hmm. They have to earn our vote. They have to demand that we do something about the November 3rd vote before we're going to show up and do something for them on January 5th. The second thing I want to say is Senator Jones, all of you senators did a great job last night, but y'all need to take Professor Eastman's advice. Y'all have the plenary power from the U.S. Constitution that trumps the Georgia Senate rules and Constitution. Y'all do realize that you don't have to have truckloads and truckloads of evidence to call this legislature together to revote on all these electors and decertify this election. Professor Eastman made it very clear at the hearing that the standard is way lower than that. All you have to do is show that Georgia statutes weren't followed in this election, and you can decertify these results. You have more power than you think. You need to use it.
Well,
Thank you, Mickey.
Yeah, thank you for that. You're preaching to the choir right here, because I've, like I said, been one of four who was just pushing for a hearing. That we finally had yesterday, and I don't. I get these calls and I get emails, and everybody's wanting us to take action, and I want to take action because, like I said earlier. If we're ultimately going to be ones held responsible for this, which we are, the body, the constitutionally granted body that handles elections, then we need to be given an opportunity to address our voice on this whole issue, and so I saw a lot more movement in a lot of my colleagues yesterday as far as. Instead of just wanting to put it behind us, they looked like they were, gearing up to join the fight, so to speak. And so I felt really good about yesterday, and finally some eyes open, and I think I feel kind of a movement coming, and I'm hoping that continues here. So
Burt Jones, all right. I mean, you guys are taking action finally. Like you said, you fought for a hearing. You and Beach fought for a hearing for weeks. You finally got that. Without the hearing, you wouldn't have been able to get the video out. Without the video out, and now you've got this machine in Ware County that's got to get impounded. Okay, let's get. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you for that. Thank you for the call. Let's get to Ilona in Chesterfield, Virginia. Ilona, you're live.
Good morning, John. Thank you for being there, fighting against the evil that permeates our beloved country. Also, I'm worried about their shutting down our country. It's like committing suicide, as I see it. And our country is broke. We do not have the money to help anyone. Let us not allow these tin-horn dictators to run our life. And we must fight the evil, finally, while we can, and it is now or never. And God bless you, John, and our beloved country also. And thank you once again for being there. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Oh, Ilona, thank you. You were on hold a very long time to say that. I really thank you, Ilona, for those kind words, and want to thank some of our new sponsors and donors in this hour. Lori Morrill, thank you, Lori. Beth Hires, we really appreciate it, Beth. David Parks, thanks, David. Charles McCurdy, we appreciate it. Without your help, I couldn't be doing this tour. Let's get to line one. Marcia in Miami, Florida. Marcia, you're live.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning,
I'm
Marcia.
just calling because I know you want a special session, Mr. Fredericks, and I agree with you 100%. But the thing is that, as your guest just informed us, only Mr. Kemp can call one because we don't have 3/5 of the members in the okay. So why should he call one? He's going to look like a fool for signing that consent. So it's not in his interest to call one because you're saying, let's undo what you did, silly Mr. Kemp. So that's one thing. He's not.
He didn't. Let me just interject. Governor Kemp didn't sign the consent decree. That was signed by Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
But it looks bad for the three of them. The three stooges: Kemp, Raffensperger, and Pretty Boy. Like the three
Cosmo
of them.
Man.
I'm sure Raffens. Yeah, Duncan. Yes, exactly. I'm sure that they were in a Kemp knew what was going on, what was being signed. I don't mean the actual person who signed it. Okay, so it's not going to look bad it's going to look bad for them. So why are they incentivized to agree to call the special session. So the other thing is you're threatening him. Oh, then the Senate's going to go Democrat. I don't think that those three care if the Senate is Democrat. What's in it for them? So I agree that we should be pushing for it, but they might not do it. And then I keep hearing you saying, well, the people, what's in it for us, for the voters, the Democrats? What's in it for us is our whole future of this country, and they're what they do. Those Democratic voters do. Republican voters in Georgia do. What you guys do on January 5th reflects the whole future of this country. You know how many states there are, whether there's going to be an electoral college. I don't have to go through the whole thing, all the things that they're going to do. So it's not just what's in it for us. What's in it for us and for the rest of the country is that you're going to save us from a Biden administration. So I do want a special session. But in the meantime, as a previous caller said, as long as you do something to please your group, Mr. Fredericks, your voters who want to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen on January 5th, whether it's paper ballots or whether it's having two poll watchers, one Democrat and one Republican present at all times, etc. The other thing I have to point out to you, when he wants a signature audit, okay, Stacey Abrams can sign different names in 1,000 different handwritings unless it's compared to the hospital cards or driver's licenses. There's no way to check it, and I have heard people say that they're not just using signatures that are on file with the state. They're comparing it to the request for the ballot.
All right,
and then
Marcia,
the ballot.
Marcia,
hold us a second, Kiara. Just let Senator Jones respond to Marcia.
Well, I got to ask a quick question, Marcia. You down in Miami, Florida. Do you know my good friend Max Alvarez down there in Miami, Florida?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm just visiting someone here. I've just been here for a few. I don't live here.
Max was he was a Cuban immigrant that gave the speech at the convention. Yeah. He lives in Miami. He's a great guy. But to answer a couple of your questions, number one on the consent order, that was the Secretary of State that's off on the consent order. Probably he and the Attorney General were the two involved on that, since obviously the Attorney General's office will represent the agencies of the state, like the Secretary of State's office. To my knowledge, Governor Kemp didn't have anything to do with that, But like I said, I can't speak for him, but that the Secretary of State is a constitutional officer, so they try to. And Governor Kemp, having been a Secretary of State himself, he probably realizes the importance of trying to, stay in your own lane type deal. But the other part is, we're pushing for a special session. I don't think from a political aspect it would harm Governor Kemp. In fact, I think it's just the opposite. I think it would help him if he called a special, because people want to see us doing something.
That's the key. I mean, that's the key. They want to see action.
That's right.
To get him out on January 5th, you're not going to get him out by Newt Gingrich sending a letter, an email, flailing against Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell, right, and voters that say they're going to stay home. That he's a relic. Goodbye. Go back to the Vatican. Okay, it's done. It's over. They want action. So instead of fighting with them, let's give the Georgia voters something meaningful they want, because their view is, why vote on January 5th if they're going to steal it again? Let's get let's get something done so they don't steal it. Marcia, thank you. Today we're in Locust Grove. In studio with us, doing a great job, by the way, my new best friend here in Georgia, Senator Burt Jones, has been fabulous. Burt, thank you for coming and taking calls. I mean, this is a big deal. And thank you.
I used to do talk radio.
Really?
Yeah. When I played over at University of Georgia. I played football over there, and after I got done with football, I decided to have a little, talk radio show afterwards. Where I did the play-by-play or whatever you want to call it. So it was fun. Had a good time with it. So I've always
there's nothing
enjoyed
like
radio.
doing athletics. That's how I started in broadcasting. I did high school football games. I did a game of the week. Let's start with line one, where we have Russ in Cumming, Georgia. Hey, Russ, you're live and coming.
Hey, John. Hey, Senator.
Hey.
I think I'm calling because the thing that perplexes me about this is just how fast, after the last 5 years of everything we've gone through with the Russian collusion and all the junk that has been thrown at us, it's crazy to me how fast the GOP has just slid back into the Paul Ryan, John McCain style of governing. And I just, even what I call now Drudge Bart, who I used to listen to every day that I don't listen to anymore, I mean, even they have just kind of acquiesced to this style of government. It's just beyond me. And I just, you know, as a citizen and as a voter that I've always voted, and you know what? Thank you. You've talked me off the ledge. I didn't want to vote. I have no desire to vote. Honestly, I have no desire to vote. I am going to vote because I understand that it's important and I understand what's at stake. But I also am 90% certain that unless something changes, you know, we're not going to win. So the fix is in. It's obvious the fix is in. So thank you for talking me off the ledge and just bringing me down to a peaceful state of mind. My question to you is, you know, you mentioned, you know, having a table out by precincts and stuff. And I sent you an email yesterday through your website. What can we do? I mean, we need organization. We need some guidance. I'm willing to do it, but we need guidance, and you know, we need to get this Secretary of State out of here. He's terrible.
Well, I don't know. The Republican Party can't do it because they can't be organizing a recall petition to recall a Republican. So it just, you know, even though David Schaefer might want to do it, he can't do it. It just can't. So some independent organization is going to have to organize it. If you want to have petitions to recall Raffensperger out at every polling station in Georgia, I think it's a great idea because it'll get people out. But some independent organization has to step up to organize that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I wouldn't even know how many signatures you'd have to have.
Yeah, well, I don't even know how. Somebody would have to check that out. But certainly, look again, action, special session. Get rid of the consent decree, decertify the 16 electoral votes for Biden based on the fraud. That's immediate action that can be done. That's why you need a special session. Russ and Cumming don't have the answer you want, but I'm glad I talked you off the ledge, though. Russ, that's why I'm here, buddy. I'm here for you. I took you off the ledge, right?
Well,
I give
you did.
You the voice.
You did. You did. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you.
And that is going to be an issue for the Republican Party because, I mean, you know, I mean, Trump's one of those once in a lifetime guys. You know, I mean, he's one of those. And I always laugh at other politicians that try to be the aggressor or be tough guy like Trump can, and nobody can Trump, you know, and it just doesn't come across the same. But what people loved about him was that he is a fighter, and I mean he's not going anywhere either. Whether no matter how this election turns out, he's going to be the face of the Republican Party, you know, for the next 4 or 5 years. And you know, I mean, he's got more energy than any 74-year-old man I've ever seen before. So he probably if he says he's going to run again, he'll probably run again. I'd be willing to bet he's in a lot better shape at 78 than Biden is right now at 78. So but yeah, I mean the Republican Party is going to be a void without him, you know, being at the helm, right, so to speak, and right. And that's a shame because he brought a toughness to the party that we hadn't had in a long time. You know, I don't even not in my lifetime. You know,
this is the thing I keep saying. He's reset the expectations.
Right.
Right. So when you have senators, you know, mealy mouthing, saying, you know, I sent an email, like some senator said, it was Chuck Payne, I think, said, well, I sent an email and he got skewered for that. It's like people want action now. All right, let's get to. Did we lose? We lost Toby, Kara. I was just going to Toby when he dropped. Sorry, Toby. I was going to you right now, and you dropped. Let's get to line one. Rich in Virginia Beach. Rich, you're live.
Hey, John. What I'd like to say to the Republican voters in Georgia is don't even go there January 5th until they turn it over, Georgia, to Trump. You had a video yesterday, and you got 32 days. I don't care how you do it, make it happen. You got a bunch of weak Republicans at the top up there, and I don't care what we got to do. We just got to make it happen. We're not going to stand to be having a fake election here, meaning people's votes don't count. It's just not right. I don't care how it happens. I would say don't show up until it happens, plain and simple. Don't go out there and vote until they turn it over. We got a video, and we got it over a month.
Well, look, I think that's what Georgia voters are saying. They're not going to be taken for granted. And why vote in another election that's going to be stolen again? I mean, it was like yesterday Vernon Jones said, hey, we need to get another 14,000 votes. And Anita from, where was she from yesterday? Somewhere in South Georgia. Valdosta. Anita from Valdosta texted me and said, tell Vernon Jones, if we get another 14,000, they'll simply steal another 15,000. So what's the point? That's the problem. Okay, thank you, Rich. Thank you for that. Let's get to David in Haralson County, Georgia. David, you're live with Senator Burt Jones.
Good morning there, John. How you doing today?
Good, David.
Hey, man, Rudy and the team, they dropped their bombshells yesterday here in Georgia. And I noticed this morning, I always check the COVID deal, and it doubled today. You know, the numbers for cases. I guess that's just to kind of keep the news cycles from talking about what really happened yesterday.
Well, I read the AJC last night after all this went down, and after we'd said, you know, we need to push towards a special session. The headlines were that the Georgia senators are going to work on fixing election laws in the 2021 session. You know, that was the headlines. There was nothing about the video. There was nothing. It was nothing.
They never even covered the video.
No,
I didn't look at the AJC today.
I mean, that was last night.
Last night they didn't. Well, they didn't have anybody at the hearing. I mean, that's.
Oh, they didn't.
No, I was part of the media team there. They had nobody at the hearing. WSB had nobody at the hearing. It's like, I guess if they figured they could do fake news by just ignoring facts.
My wife tried to Google the video or whatever. And, you know, she walked in the house complaining. She was like, I can't even find it. And I'm trying to Google it. And I'm like, well, that's probably why you can't find it. You know, it's about the State Farm Arena video, you know, that had just, you know, hit yesterday. She couldn't even find it when she was trying to Google it last night.
Did she ever find it?
She finally found it. But even when you posted on Facebook, it got taken down or it got censored. Or
got censored, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well,
yeah,
I got censored on Twitter yesterday for simply reporting it.
Oh, I did too. I mean, I put a picture of myself and the mayor and two of other colleagues up about saying, you know, hey, had great having the mayor here. They dropped a bombshell, you know.
You get censored.
And they did. They censored me.
It's like you're in a communist country.
On Twitter and Facebook.
Unbelievable. So, David in Haralson County. Thank you, David. Are you good, David?
Yeah, I'm good. I think this election was crooked as a snake, and I hope our representatives or legislature in our state will do something about it, get it corrected. But the deal on January 5th, I love my Second Amendment, and you know I will go do what I got to do for things like that, and I hope everyone will in a way. Hey, I'm bitter as I can be. I was in Rome at the Trump rally, went over to CNN Center, and, you know, it's not right. We got done wrong, but hopefully common sense men like we have in our state legislature will come together and fix this deal. And I just hope and pray that happens. They heard the truth yesterday, and then a picture is worth 1,000 words, John. And they showed us a good one yesterday.
They did, David. They did. David, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, David, thank you. Let's get to Toby in Dalton, Georgia, line 3. Toby, you're live.
Hey, John. I just want to thank you again for what you're doing. I do have a question. It's about Senator Perdue more than Loeffler. But, I agree with everyone else that they need to, fight for the president. They want him to fight for them, so it needs to reciprocate. But Loeffler has to have a runoff anyway. We understand that. But Perdue, is he not so close to the threshold? If we could get, some of these fraudulent ballots thrown out, that he might could get over that 50% threshold and not have to have a runoff. So you would think, wouldn't you think that he would be fighting a little harder, like he would have more of an incentive to push for this fraud?
Yeah, you would think. He outperformed the president. I don't know. I think it's like 20,000 votes or something like that was the number. He's right there. I mean, he's right there at the 49.6 or 7%. At almost the 50+1. That's what I've been hoping for, that he would get that 50+1 because you probably wouldn't have $500 million being spent in the state on the election, that we're looking at right now. I know he has not been vocal in the press like people would like him to be, but I do know that he has been working, trying to meet with the governor and see if there's a path that would benefit everybody, and and like I said, but then at some point in time, it really is in the hands of the General Assembly. Is where it sits. They've come out and demanded Raffensperger step down, but at some point in time they got to focus on their race. I mean, they got a race. They have a race, and I'm upset about the election just as much as the next person, but I'm not so upset that I'm not going to go vote. And I'm not going to try to help them, even when. I might try to tell them, I'm like you about these consultants, I think they blow way too much money, and I think they do crazy boilerplate things that just don't resonate with people, and even when you tell a candidate that, they still end up, doing it. Consultants hate me because I always tell them no, on pointless things, but anyways, so I mean, I would love to get Perdue over that 50% mark, and maybe if we do this signature audit, or if we do call a special session, we can get there. But it's almost like a ball game. You got the next game on the schedule as far as Perdue and Loeffler is concerned. So while they hate what happened this last game, they got to get ready for the next one. And so it's just there is a lot of things, moving parts going on behind the scenes, but it's not. I know that's not satisfying the general public, and because I know they're angry. John, we talked about it. They're angry and they want to see action, and like I said, we're trying to get more action out of a lot of our legislators.
Well, you got to get action, and that's what your voters want. Hey, Toby and Dalton, thank you. Let's get to Kerry in Ackworth, Georgia. Kerry, you're live, line 2.
Hi. I would like to suggest that the state throw out Fulton County. Fulton County has always been corrupt. They can't do an election right. They haven't been able to do an election right. And if we just tossed out Fulton County's results let everything else stand, that would teach them a lesson and give them some consequences for their cheating all the time.
It's not just elections Fulton County does that poorly. It's about everything.
But yet Rob Pitts, your Fulton County chairman, got up yesterday and said the election performance of Fulton County on November 3rd was A+.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we all see what that is, right? A+ feeling.
You know, they've had I'd love to hear. The Mary Norwood, see what her thoughts are. You know, she ran 2 mayor's races up there and lost.
She tried to run as an independent. Remember, for county chairman, and they wouldn't let her on the ballot.
That's right. But
I remember defending her on that. That was ballot shenanigans.
Yeah, but remember, she ran one time against Cassine, lost by 400-something votes, and then she runs against Mayor Bottoms,
lost by
almost the same amount. You know,
you know what? I never thought of that. Mary Norwood should be. Where is she?
She should
because
be out.
She's got to be saying to herself, I ran 2 races for mayor.
She could come testify and say, I know this. I know they run a rigged system over there.
And she was ahead in the polls both times. Mm-hmm. And she got her vote. You know, she gets her vote out. She has. You know, you can say what you want about Mary Norwood.
She's got a following in that Buckhead area.
I loved her to death. I mean, she's got a following, and she's tough.
Yeah.
And but she lost 2 mayor's races by 300 votes in Fulton County. Mm-hmm. So you would think that she'd be all over this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like I said, they've been doing this kind of stuff for a long time in the city of Atlanta and Fulton County, and it's gone unnoticed because the state wasn't competitive, you know. But now that we're competitive, you got to start paying attention to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the Mary Norwood, I should get her on my show. Right?
You need to get her on.
I am. So I'm a big supporter of hers. Mm-hmm. Before she ran for mayor, she tried to run for Fulton County chairman as an independent, right? Mm-hmm. And or it was maybe after she lost the first race. And
she lost, and then she ran for countywide chair.
And she tried to run as an independent.
Countywide president. Don't they call him president of the city
president
council?
of the county?
President of the city council. President of the city council,
right.
I think it is, right?
And she ran as an independent, and she got the signatures, and they were like disallowing signatures. Mm-hmm. Of course, you could vote now, and you don't even have to have a signature, but to get on a ballot for her, because she was bucking the party, right? They had all that scrutinization, and they threw just enough signatures out at deadline for her to not be on the ballot. And she sued, and I was a big supporter of hers, but it didn't matter. So the system in Fulton County is rigged. There's no question about it.
Oh, it is. I don't know if you followed the airport bill that I authored a few years ago that was trying to take the control away from the city of Atlanta and set up a state authority. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I saw firsthand how what a street fight Fulton County politics could be, you know. So,
all right, I got time for one more question. We got to get to the top of the hour and get out. This is from Barry in Wears Cave, Virginia. It says, John, would you ask Senator Jones, what happens if Governor Kemp does not call a special session? What will you do?
Well, you don't have a lot of options, you know. If you don't have a special session called, I mean, the legislature doesn't have the majority to do it, and the governor, you know, is the person who can do it, and we don't have a lot of options other than trying to. I don't know. You just don't have much, and that's the reason. But because it's on the legislators, it's our constitutional obligation. That's why I keep asking for it, is because it's not on the executive branch. It's on us. Mm-hmm. So let us be the responsible one for it. And if the people are upset, then they'll be upset with us, you know. They might be satisfied with the legislature having the reins on it.
Thank you, Senator Brandon Beach, for being with us.